Hello YouTubers, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to share some amazing tips to set up your game camera for third-person view. These tips will make your game not only fun to play, but also visually engaging for your audience. Before we start, let me clarify. If you are looking for tips especially for first-person cameras, like in FPS or car simulators, this video won't cover much of that, so the focus here is entirely on third-person camera setups. So let's get started. Tip number 1. Avoid placing the camera directly behind the player. So if you add the camera to the scene and just set it behind the player above the shoulder, then change this immediately because the character is meant to be the player, not a crosshair that always remains at the center. So if not at the center, then where should the player be? The player is placed slightly to the left of the screen where the player's shoulder directly align with the crosshair. Remember that the camera should never be placed exactly behind the player. So next, tip number 2 is add a dynamic drag effect during the movement. Setting up the camera and leaving it static is not the right approach. The camera needs to be interactive. For an example, whenever the player runs forward or your car uses a nitro boost, the camera should slightly drag backward. This creates a feel that conveys the player about the moving forward with a greater speed. You can also add some shadow effects around the edges to make the experience more immersive. Next, tip number 3 is to use the camera's field of view for dynamic zooms. After learning the second tip, you know that the camera can move forward and backward for zoom and drag effects. But how do you make this effect proper? Not just changing the camera's translation values, but also to use a property in the camera node, and yeah, that's called field of view, FOV. Combining both camera translation plus FOV will give the best result for your zoom. So when zooming in, keep the camera angle low, which allows for better focus. For an example, you can use this effect in your car game when braking or dashing into an object. That creates a slight zoom effect, or in a third person, use this to focus on an object. So for zooming out, increase the camera FOV for a wider view. For an example, you can add this when your car uses nitro or while making your character running forward from the screen. So next, the fourth tip is implement smart camera collisions. So in third-person games, the camera often be blocked by walls, trees or other objects. To avoid this, make sure to implement smart camera collision. This ensures player can always see the character and actions clearly. If you're using a spring arm in your game, it should work well enough for your smart camera collisions. So now you know different kinds of effects, but where exactly to use them. So let's see some use case. So the first one is enhance combat sequence. During a combat, slight tilt or shake the camera for melee strikes or shooting. This amplifies the intensity of the action. The second one is create atmosphere in crowded or open areas. In crowded areas with a lot of NPCs or objects, zoom out to provide a better visibility and context. In contrast, zoom in during an isolated movements to create intimacy or tension. So the next one is adjust based on environment. For open landscapes, pull out the camera back to emphasize freedom and scale. In tight corridors or caves, bring the camera closer to evoke a sense of claustrophobia. The fourth one is react to environmental effects. Shake or tilt the camera for explosion, impacts or earthquakes. Add vibrations for heavy footsteps or vehicle movement to make world feel more alive. The next one is showcase special abilities. Zoom in and slow the camera slightly when the player activates special powers or performing finishing moves. Add smooth transitions during these movements for cinematic effect. With these tips and tricks, you can take your game camera to the next level, making the gameplay more smoother, more immersive and visual appealing. So that's it for the video. Thank you guys for watching my video. If you found this video helpful, then don't forget to like, comment and subscribe for more game development tutorials and videos. And as always, Have a nice day.